Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the flagship product from Donner, which is called the DDP 300. Donner is actually a relatively young company when it comes to digital piano. They started in around 2012 and they have gained pretty huge success in creating guitar effects, pedal and some other products. So then they ventured into digital pianos. One of their main strengths when it comes to digital piano would be having pretty high quality features for a very affordable price. So the piano came in a pretty big and very well wrapped package. You will find two of these legs over here and the middle board, and of course the pedal panel, and finally a very well protected keyboard. It is pretty easy to assemble because everything is straightforward, and in the manual you'll see like all these screws. You're gonna require like a screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver, and on the bottom here you can actually twist it with your hands because this you don't require screwdrivers for this. So assembly is gonna take you around half an hour at most, and if you have two person it will be even faster. But the only challenge will be to carry this piece of the keyboard, to carry the keyboard on top of the stand. That you will require two person. So before we turn the piano on, let's take a quick look at the connectivity. So there are three pedals over here made of steel, which I find very high quality because there are a lot of pedals that are just square plastic box. So this is pretty high quality. So from the left is the soft pedal, which is also called the una corda pedal, and the middle is a sostenuto pedal, and finally the sustain pedal, which is also called the damper pedal on the right. Mimics the pedals of an actual grand piano. The three pedals are actually connected to a slot at the bottom of the piano. Okay, so which is very convenient because there are some pianos where they put it at the back. So at the bottom I think it's a little bit better. And under here is two speakers. These are 20-watt speakers, so they sound really beautiful. And on the bottom left of the piano you can actually find 2/4-inch jack for two different headphones that you can connect to this piano. So very convenient. The connection at the back of the piano is pretty straightforward and simple. So you're gonna find the power adapter, the DC power adapter, and another sustain slot for if you have a separate sustain pedal that you need to use. But for our case we don't need that because we connected our pedal to the bottom of the piano. And then we have a stereo line out, which is also called aux out. And finally the USB port that connects to the computer, which it will send MIDI signals to the computer if you want to do like music projects and you want to play and basically you can create MIDI with this piano. One of the most important features that I can mention over here is that the line out, which is also the aux out, is a stereo out. So you can use a 1/4-inch stereo jack and connect it to like your hi-fi system or many other place. Like if you even want to record your music to your interface, you can connect this to the interface as well. One really important feature of this piano that I really like is the cover for the keys. Let me show you. Yeah, because the keys often get dusty if you leave the piano and not wipe it for some time. So this is really handy to protect the keys from getting dusty. And the second thing that I like is actually the music stand. You look at the back. So the music stand is actually supported by these two pins over here, where you can put them down and you can bring them up as you wish. Okay, I can't do this with one hand, but so basically you can flatten the music stand as you wish. Okay, so now we have turned on the piano, the DDP 300. As you can see from over here, there are not that many buttons on this piano because Donner has done a really good job in keeping the number of buttons as minimalistic as possible. So this is the volume button. I usually keep it to around like 70%, which is loud enough for a decent sized house. And because the buttons are kept minimum, a lot of functions we actually make use of the function button. And here is a metronome button, and we have piano, electric piano, rock organ, strings, bass, and of course if you want in other instruments, you can make use of like the function button, or you can actually connect it to your computer and use the samples from the computer instead. And here there are demo songs where you can use, and this is also for recording purpose. You can record your own songs on this piano easily. The DDP 300 comes with a very simple and easy to understand owner's manual. So over here you can see how to set up, and this is a very important manual because you're gonna need it as the buttons are kept minimalistic. Just a few buttons. You're gonna need it for a lot of different functions to know like what are the functions that you can set for this piano. So this is basically the assembly of the piano. Simple and straightforward. You can do it like within 30 minutes or less. And then they have key covers, music stand, what you can do, pedal connection, sustain, aux out, USB, MIDI. It's very straightforward. But look at the function button. So there's a function introduction over here, as you can see over here. So there are a lot of functions where you can press the function button and each key, and it triggers different function. Okay, then it teaches you how to turn on. So basically this user manual is very important, so please keep it safe. I believe they may have a PDF copy in case you lose your user manual. Okay, so this is really useful. As I've mentioned earlier, there are actually more different instruments than the instrument listed on the piano. You can see there are bright piano, harpsichord, church organ, guitar, pad, and a few more that are actually not listed. And you can trigger them using the function key. Another very useful function of the DDP 300 is actually the double keyboard setting, where you can have a teacher playing on the right side of the piano and your student playing on the left side of the piano. This is very good for teacher and student when they are learning and teaching and learning piano. Okay, now let's go through a very important aspect when it comes to digital pianos, when it comes to getting a digital piano. The sound and the touch. Okay, so this piano uses the GHS, which is a graded hammer standard keys, where it actually mimics the keys of a real piano as close as possible. You can actually feel that on the bass on the left side it is actually heavier, and on the right side it is slightly lighter. Okay. As for the sound, the piano uses a 20-watt speaker system, which is fairly loud. So that's why earlier I told you that I'm only turning it on to around 70% of the loudness. And for this piano, even if we go to 100%, it is not gonna be like overpowering or too loud. Okay, I'm just gonna show you a little bit, but later I'm gonna play a song with a direct connection so that you can hear the actual piano sound of the DDP 300. And according to the manual, according to the specification, the piano is actually sampled from a 9-foot concert grand piano. That's why it sounds really beautiful. Now let's hear the piano in its speakers form. Okay, but it's not gonna sound as good because the microphone from my camera wouldn't be able to capture a lot of the actual sound from the digital piano. I'm just gonna play a little bit. Okay, so it actually sounds really nice, even on the speaker to me, but I'm not so sure if it sounds good on the camera. So later I'm gonna connect the piano to an actual line out to line in source so that you can hear the actual piano performance, the actual fidelity of the piano, of the sample piano of this piano. Okay, so now let's test the loudness of the piano with its speakers when we are playing. Okay, so this is the softest, and this is the okay, back to 70%. So the thing that I really like about this piano is from what I hear, even at maximum loudness, there is zero distortion. So this is very important when it comes to a digital piano. Now let's try a slow song. So it feels good to play whether you are playing a very fast song or a very slow song. The touch is good. If you ever compare the touch of the Donner DDP 300 to a Japanese digital piano, for example, you will find that the touch of the Donner piano is more towards European pianos, where they are slightly heavier. Whereas the Japanese pianos are slightly lighter. Even for a real grand pianos, if you have ever played on a German or European grand piano, you will find them slightly heavier, and while the Japanese pianos are slightly lighter. So now let's listen to the piano sound on a direct line-in connection. Okay, so those few songs are actually direct connection recordings. However, I actually do not have the best device to capture the true fidelity of this digital piano. I only have like a simple 3.5mm cable and my Sony MV1, which it's not really capable of capturing the entire spectrum of the sound from the Donner DDP 300. So that was as good as we can get at the moment, but the piano really sounds way better than what you just heard. There's one thing that really sets this piano apart from many other digital piano, is its built-in Bluetooth connectivity. So I can just connect to BT audio, so you can find BT audio here, and I can play, for example, any music. I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce you guys to the Donner Music app. So this is basically the Donner Music app. Over here, there's a lot of places, there's a lot of things you can explore. There are courses, music courses, like for example, courses for acoustic guitar, basic lessons, acoustic electric bass tutorial, digital piano, woohoo! Okay, and a lot of digital piano, basic and all the way to pretty intermediate. You know, there's even advanced electric guitar. So there's actually an entire community of this Donner music app, and there are also other tools that you can use. For example, like the metronome, the tuner. Tuner is very useful. You can actually use it to tune your guitar. Then there's like chords, tabs. So these kind of tools that you can use. Then you have like you can have your own profile. So this is a really neat app. Well done, Donner, for doing all this really awesome app. In conclusion, the Donner DDP 300 is actually best for beginners to intermediate users or piano players who actually enjoy learning how to play the piano, or learning something more advanced, or even if you want to connect to your computer to do some MIDI composition, you can use the Donner digital piano, because it actually comes with so many features for such price, which I think is really worth it. However, if you are a concert pianist, usually you might want to go for something of a much more expensive or much higher quality. But if you are just playing the piano at home, beginner to intermediate level, this is gonna be a really good deal for you. Also, do check out the link in the description below for an even extra deal of this already very wonderful deal. So I hereby thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in and listen to my review on the DDP 300. I really hope you enjoy it. Do subscribe and come back for more.